Oh, what is the upskis, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GXHockeyCast. We're on episode 98, Connor Bedard of My Little Hockey Show, where once a week I talk about all the news and what's happenings in the NHL, mainly focusing in on the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Calgary Flames, because those are my two favorite teams, but I'll be talking about all 32 teams on this podcast. So what do we got on this show? Well, obviously, we still have the first round of the playoffs going on. There's still a heartbeat in Toronto, so we'll be discussing all the playoff series, all 8 of them. Some of them are done now, sadly, but that's okay. And there's been some more firings around in the NHL, and a legend has passed. But before we get into that stuff, let's just get into the playoffs. Let's just rip off the Band-Aid, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Boston Bruins series. So, been a little bit frustrating, Leaf fans, if I must admit. Not the series I've been hoping for. It's been a little bit tame, especially compared to some of the other series that have been going on. But, yeah, where do we start here? So, I think we left off we talked about Game 1 and Game 2. So we'll go to Game 3 now. Boston takes that one 4-2. We have no William Nylander in that game either. He's now back in the series, thankfully, but this was the referee clown show of a game. I mean, all around. I mean, the refereeing, not just in this series, but throughout, has been pretty questionable. But again, this is not a new story. That's the same story every single playoff, pretty much game to game from all 82 games in the regular season. The refereeing is always questionable. That's just a staple of freaking the NHL right now. So honestly, I feel like they've been not as lenient as normal playoff series. I feel like they have been calling stuff, but the usual baloney where it's like, oh, well, they're not going to call them because they just called. Like, that stuff is going on. Makeup calls for sure. Players are getting away with murder. Speaking of that, the Boston Bruins, especially in Game 3. McAvoy and Marchand, of course. And I know a lot of the spotlight gets put on Marchand, but let's put a little bit more spotlight on McAvoy. That guy is so filthy. He is so freaking dirty. And man, once Marchand goes away from the Bruins, if that ever happens, I feel like that guy is going to stick around forever and just haunt the Toronto Maple Leafs. But if Marchand ever goes away, it's going to be McAvoy is going to be the king of the rats in the Boston Bruins organization. That guy has learned from the best for years. He learned under the Chara tree how to defend using any means necessary. And of course, he's learned the mind games shenaniganery from Brad Marchand. I mean, I would love to have a guy like that on my team. Of course, absolutely. Is there jealousy within my hatred of some of the players in the Boston Bruins organization? I mean, yeah, absolutely. But, I mean, geez, McAvoy behind the net, grabbing Matthews, literally tugging him, wrestling him down. I watched WWE. That was a WWE-style takedown. No call, and like, what the fucking fuck? And then Brad Marchand at it again, getting away with trips and whacks and all this stuff. I mean, that was a very infuriating game to watch because I knew it was coming at some point, or it was going to play a major element in the series, was going to be the Boston Bruins shenanigans and what not the referees are going to be calling. So that's always been a staple, a storyline in every playoff series, especially the Bruins and the Maple Leafs, because the Bruins, even Sheldon Keefe mentioned it at the end of that game, the press conference, like, Brad Marchand just gets calls. He can get away with things that other players can't, and there really is no explanation behind it. The guy is a master of the game. He's been in the league for a very long time. He's been in the playoffs for a majority of his career. He's had numerous playoff runs, and he knows how to play the game, and he's very aware of what he's doing. He knows what he can and can't do, and yes, he knows when he can get away with something and really just get into your heads. And I like the mind games from Brad Marchand. I mean, Sheldon Keefe is right. He is elite at it because there's really no winning with the Leafs in this scenario. I mean, no matter what happens, the Leafs get pushed around by the Bruins, they don't get calls, and they're like, all right, fine. So they toughen up, and they start to try and play the Bruins game, and then the Leafs are getting called or suspended for playing and doing the things that the Bruins have done to the Leafs for decades. So I really don't know. I don't know is there a middle spot somewhere where the refs are like, all right, you can play to this level of Bruin, but you cannot play full Bruin because, oh, hell no, you're going to get suspended and in big trouble. But the Bruins, they can just get away with that. And Keefe literally just said, like, I know people are pissed at Keefe. I'm pissed at Keefe too. His comments are fucking ridiculous, but some of it I feel like has to be a smokescreen, like the fact that he thinks that the effort levels were there and junk like that, and the power play is fine, and those kind of comments should get him fired at the end of this. Even like I don't know, if they make it to the third round maybe and a playoff and a Stanley Cup final, maybe Keefe's job is safe. But at this point, I think the guy has to go regardless. He does make some good points. I wouldn't hate Sheldon Keefe to stick around in the organization because I think I like what he says. I feel like he was a player, so he has the right ideas. It's just that I think his motivation at this point has become mute. And yeah, I think it's falling on deaf ears, and I think what he wants to do is like rip these guys a new asshole and old style coaching, but that's just not the way it's going to work, especially with the Toronto Maple Leafs. But back to the crazy refereeing of that game. So pretty much everyone agreed across the board. Analysts, like every podcast I listened to, they're like, yeah, the refereeing in that game was a joke. Both teams. I mean, even like the Leafs get away with shit too. Absolutely. It's just every time it seems that the Bruins get away with something that is super egregious and it's a non-call, bam, it's in the back of the net. What was that? Trent Frederick, who goes on and scores that horrific goal on Sammy, and Jesus Samsonov. What the fucking fuck, man? Like, everyone's pretty solidified on the fact that Samsonov is Dunyan rings in Toronto. Like, this is it. And it's just the crazy inconsistencies of Samsonov's game. Like, he can be on and completely unplayable in the same 10-minute time frame. Like, it's crazy. The goals that he's let in this series have been disgusting. The JVR goal, the Trent Frederick goal. I will give Brad Marchand a lot of credit on that goal that he scored. I mean, defensive coverage was non-existent, but he was right in the right spot. Perfect shot up top cheese. I mean, again, there's just no defense. And the defense coverage for most of the games on the Leafs side just has not been there. Penalty kill has been horrible. The power play has been even worse. I mean, where do we even be? Like, oh, this has been the most infuriating thing as a Leaf fan since like I've been a Leaf fan obviously since 2002. I've been following the Leafs, but this core era of the lack of fucking adjustments and just relying on it over and over again. Like, is that not the definition of insanity? Like, trying something over and over again, even though it doesn't work and you know it doesn't work, but you just keep going with it anyway. And that's what the Leafs keep doing. Like, they're not even just with the power play, like their entry into the zones, like Steve Dangle and all those guys, they said it exactly right. Like, they allow teams' defenses to get set up nice and proper. Like, oh, you good? Drop passes back. Oh, they're not ready yet. Like, oh, we could have had an odd man rush, but we have to set it up the way that we always do. So instead of capitalizing on an opportunity, they'll fucking back pass it. And yeah, it's just mind-boggling. The lack of dump and chase. It's all dump, no chase, and yeah, that's not effective playoff hockey whatsoever. You have to dump, you have to chase, you got to get in, you got to hit, you got to get in the corners, you got to hope for bounces. Like, whoa, my goodness. So the lack of adjustments have been infuriating, and that's on coaching, man. And maybe is it maybe that the Leafs have too many fucking specialists on that bench? Like, there's a fucking specialist for everything: defense, offense, power play, penalty kill, goaltending. They got 7 guys in the press box up there watching down, and I don't think it's working. So something's going to happen there. Wipe the bench clean. Bring in some other, I don't know. The Bond villain running the power play. Again, this happens every year. It starts out fantastic, and then it peters out because the league understands what the Leafs are doing, and they do not adjust so teams know how to defend it, and it's extremely infuriating to literally just watch them run into a brick wall over and over and over again, and then maybe every once in a while Mitch Marner makes a pass through the crease that's impossible, and they get a beautiful goal, and they're like, see, it works. It's like, no, it doesn't fucking work. Your power play is like 8%. You've scored 2 or less goals in freaking 12 straight playoff games, and you're supposed to be an offensive team like the Oilers. No, you are absolutely not. So I've been preaching it for years. Defense wins in the playoffs, and this team has been built for offense. And now it's not even as effective as it used to be, where the Leafs are not fast at all anymore, man. They used to be blistering fast, and it's just kind of slowly petered out. They're not a fast team anymore. They do not break out fast on the rush. They very much so struggle to get the puck out of their own end because they don't have the defensemen to make the breakout passes. And, I don't like to say this, but, Klingberg, he's kind of a decent guy at making breakout passes. Everything else is a liability, but, and the lack of Giordano, why isn't Gio in the lineup? That guy was a former captain, and, there's been a lot of infuriating things that have been going on in this series, coaching-wise, management, player-wise. I mean, William Nylander out of the lineup. Matthews dealing with a fucking food poisoning. Who's feeding this man? If I am running this organization, you are not to eat anywhere outside of fucking us. We are making you the food. You do not eat outside sources. Do you not remember the flu game with Michael Jordan when he ate the pizza or whatever? It was poison. Don't eat anything that is outside. Oh my God, people are crazy. They'll poison you. They'll make you sick. They'll serve you raw chicken. So, oh my God, that is just unacceptable. Matthews looking like the fucking corpse bride out there. Yikes. So, and he's done okay, but obviously Matthews has not been Matthews in this series. But again, he makes a spectacular play. He grabs the puck out of midair and scores a beautiful fucking breakaway goal. And everyone's like, oh, he's fine. But, no, he's not fine. Yeah. Clearly, I'm a little bit frustrated, but mostly with that Game 3. That Game 3 was just horrendous. And like I said, with Sammy, he's good and terrible. He'll make great saves and terrible freaking goals against in the same series of moments. Marner, that was a good game for him in Game 3, but it wasn't enough. And his best game of the series is still not good enough for what he is getting paid to do. And Biz and a whole bunch of people broke it down perfectly. Is just, he's not a playoff built guy. He plays perimeter. He doesn't break in. He doesn't check hard. He's just not built for the playoffs, and we see it time and time again where he's looking for calls that would get called in the regular season, and he falls down and he looks at the referee come on, and how do you not know this by now? Come on, Marner, you're freaking 8 years into the league now. You've played the Bruins numerous times, you've been to the playoffs numerous times, and it's the same fucking story every time, and this guy still doesn't get it. And one of the most encouraging things I saw was them freaking out on each other on the bench, if you call that freaking out. And I'm not even going to break into the minutia of who was talking to who. All I care about is that Willie said, stop fucking crying, bro. I need these guys to start getting after each other and holding each other accountable, because it's always just them kind of sitting there on the bench with blank stares on their face and no fucking answers. It's Willie's just shoot the frickin' puck. This isn't junior. You can't make 7 passes here. Everything's clogged up. There's no room. So when you have an opportunity, you take that opportunity. Don't make 7 passes. And yeah, dude, this is the kind of shit I figured he would have figured out by now, but apparently he needed a news flash from Nylander on the bench and throw a little hissy fit, throw your gloves on the ground. That right there, I've already been I was on the ship of Marner's gone last year, and then they shipped off Dubas instead. So I'm still on that boat. Get rid of Marner. It's solidified in stone. This kid doesn't have it. He's just not going to get this team to a championship. Will he get them to the playoffs? Absolutely. And that would be a great asset for another team like Columbus or fucking Detroit, or a team that's trying to get to the playoffs. But the Leafs aren't trying to get to the playoffs. They're trying to win a Stanley Cup, and Marner can't do it. I don't care. He can't do it. It's not his game, and it's not his fault, I guess. That's just his game. That's what he does. And if he can't adjust, then he's going to have to go, because without a doubt, Nylander and Matthews are way more effective in the playoffs. Marner, year in, year out, completely shut down, useless in the playoffs. And seeing that Matthews can play with Domi and Bertuzzi on a line in the playoffs without Marner, he's doing okay. He'll do better if he wasn't fucking poisoned. But, yeah, dude, I am already convinced that this team should move on from Marner. They kind of have to at this point, because Willie's getting paid an insane amount of money, and there's no way that you can, after seeing all these performances in the playoffs, time in, time out, and yes, there is still time for Marner to turn it around. He could score 13 points in 5 games and absolutely go off and win the series for the Leafs. Then you can actually start defending this guy in the playoffs, but he has not done that once. Even Matthews hasn't really had a dominating performance, really, in the playoffs. Nylander has at least given you what you should expect out of a guy making that much money on a line with that much firepower on it, on a team with that much firepower. Willie has done a good job, but goddamn, man, like, infuriating to watch Marner time in, time out. He just doesn't seem to get it, and I feel that they have to move on. Then we get to Game 4. Boston completely shuts down this team. So this was the game where they have the freak out. And that was another infuriating game to watch, because it was literally what I just said. They're trying the same fucking shit, and it's not working, and they're getting mad at each other, and what can you say? And the Bruins, they stick with Swayman. Absolutely the right call. Like, I understand that your tandem thing, very effective, but when it comes to the playoffs, like, just play the hot hand. Like, that's like, hopefully they looked like they learned their lesson a little bit there from last year when they didn't make the switch. So just play the hot hand. And now their big question is, where do they go the next game? Now that the Leafs have a heartbeat, but we'll get there. But Swayman was making everything, like, he's played great. It's just that the Leafs haven't had all that many great chances. Like, they're getting shots, but not all of them are all that great. There's shots from the outside that aren't that deadly. Do they get amazing chances and he makes amazing saves? Absolutely. Jeremy Swayman, not taking anything away from him. He has been almost next to unbeatable. Like, he's been fucking amazing. And Leafs power play, completely fucking useless in that game. Like, that shift with Marchand where he was just forechecking and he got the puck and he's playing it back. Like, what a freaking animal. And, like, I have to respect Brad Marchand, because this guy, he brings his game, his AAA game, every playoff series. The guy makes $6 million, and he is 3 times more effective than Matthews, Marner, and Nylander, Tavares combined. Like, the guy is an absolute fucking animal out there. He's insane, and mind games, like, everything. He is 100% leader. And the story coming out that, he spent time in training camp at the beginning of the season with the rookies and telling them, showing them, like, what it means to be a Bruin, building a culture, which the Leafs have zero culture. It's a culture of, we don't know what the fuck yet, so they have to build one. That's what the Bruins are built on. They're built on that Bruins culture. Like, there's players around the league, they're like, oh, that's a Bruin right there. Like, oh, that guy should be a Bruin. That guy would be a Bruin. Like, what player would you identify out there as a guy that should be a Leaf? Like, a guy that, dries up in the playoffs but is a really good regular season guy? Like, I don't know. But Brad Marchand, man, he continues to build that culture with the Bruins of, sacrifices need to be made sometimes financially. Now, we'll see where that goes in the future with the Bruins because you're starting to see guys getting paid in McAvoy and Pasternak, but as the salary cap rises, those are still going to be bargain deals, and you look at the Leafs that have to overpay everybody. Like, Marner was an overpay. Matthews was, in my opinion, an overpay if you want to win a championship. Was he, in the grand scheme of like how other athletes are paid, he's immensely underpaid, but that's the way that the league is. It's kind of a niche league. They don't like to expand and bring in more. They're doing a decent job right now, but you look at the other leagues, like it's fucking baby league shit. Anyway, Marchand, man, like he's the icon. Like, how can you, like, he's the leader, and he's taking less money, and he just continues to be an amazing playoff performer and leader for the Bruins. So, I mean, I got to give him respect for what he's doing in this series. He's been very much so dominant, and yeah, man, the Leafs have been very much so not good in pretty much every aspect. But after that horrific game, I mean, the team blowing up on each other, Sammy not having a very good game, getting completely shut down. Like, it looked like there was absolutely nothing left. And then we get to game 5. Joseph Woll finally gets into the series. So he did get in there. I think the last game, Samsonov got pulled and they put Woll in for the third period, maybe just to get him a little warm up. The game's already gone, so not as much pressure. But Woll goes in there. Now, I didn't get to watch the whole entire game, but I was able to manage my breaks at work properly, that I was able to watch the beginning of the first period, and I got to watch the overtime, which, oh God, I was so terrified for that overtime. So Woll gets in there. He looked pretty damn good, man, I must say. And the Leafs with a shocking first goal out of nowhere to start this game off. McCabe with his first playoff goal in his career, and off the faceoff, bam, it's in the back of the net. And fuck yeah, man, that's just the kind of shit. And then, of course, the Bruins get it back pretty soon after. They've been very good at that. They did that in, I can't remember what game, but I think that was the Marchand goal or whatever. But the Leafs get a goal, and then bam, within a minute, it's in the back of their net again. So they can never hold on to that momentum for very long. But the game gets to overtime. Oh my goodness, and yeah, it was very tense. Like, the Bruins had some pretty damn good looks there at the beginning of that overtime, but Woll was there, some decent defense anyway. I mean, they were able to clear out some stuff, and then on the fly, John Tavares, guess what he did? He charged the front of the net with the Leafs. Gotta start doing more, and bam, you crash the net, good things happen, the puck squirts out to the front, and Matthew Nyes, bam, back of the net. Everyone in the break room going nuts except for the Leaf haters. I mean, and there's a good amount of them there too at where I work. But yeah, that was great. That's a huge win, and people are already, this could be the turning point, and maybe it is. It could absolutely be the turning point because the Bruins blew it last year. The Bruins have a history of this kind of, like, they've blown series before. They did it against the Flyers, over 10 years ago, where they had a 3-0 series lead and they blew it. The next year they won the Cup, so they redeemed themselves. So, there's also that. Like, the Bruins blew it last year, so they're very motivated to not do that. And to do it against the Leafs, that would really, really sting for the Bruins fans and everybody, right? Except for us Leaf fans. That would just be, oh my goodness. But is it a turning point? It could, in fact, be a TSN turning point. I mean, the Leafs, without Matthews in the lineup, by the way, that was a game-time decision, and I think everybody was of the mind. If Matthews is not in that game, it's done. 0% chance, and I was of that mind, too. And it didn't happen. The Leafs won without Austin Matthews in the lineup, and I'm not saying that Matthews was a liability, but Domi looked fucking pretty all right up there on, like, I think Domi is a guy that can perform well in the playoffs and be, like, I want Domi to stick around. Same thing with Bertuzzi. I don't know if Bertuzzi is as convinced to stay around. I think Domi really does. Like, I've said this before, Domi does every time he goes to an organization. He's like, I really love it here. I feel like this is my forever home. And then bam, he's gone. And then he says the same thing. But this really does feel right. Ty Domi, late Leaf legend, and to have Max here, I love his game so far in the series. I think he's been really good. The ridiculous fucking 2-on-1 that they had, that frustrated me a little bit because Domi was didn't even consider shot, didn't even look, and I didn't like the way that he came in, really came down the middle. He didn't give himself a great, he didn't pull Swayman to the other side far enough, but a beautiful, absolutely beautiful saucer pass, and the hands on Domi, goodness gracious. But really like Max Domi, man, and Nyes has been effective. Bertuzzi, at times he looks like he's like, man, I wish I was on the other side of the bench here on the Bruins side and taking it to the Leafs, but yeah, that was a very impressive win. What happens next, who freaking knows? They go back to and not they won that game in Boston. That's huge, man. That's absolutely huge. When it comes to the crowds, I didn't get a good hear on the Bruins crowd last night because, overtime, they sounded pretty crazy at the beginning of the game. Oh, yeah, very ramped up. In terms of the Leafs side, I know, Joe Bowen? He was chirping the Leafs crowd and kind of blaming them for the Leafs losing. Now, that's too far, but without a doubt, I agree that the atmosphere has been by far the weakest on the Canadian side. I watched the Vancouver game last night. Insane, man. Everything that was happening, every pass, every just entry into the zone, they were freaking the fuck out. It was really something, and that series has been slow. So, yes, it's a problem that's just what happens, and it's a sacrifice that the Leafs make to bring in a ton of money into the organization so we can have 30 coaches on the bench and we can have the best medical staff. That stuff is great equipment staff, but sometimes, I don't know, but I would love to have an atmosphere like in Vancouver or Winnipeg and Toronto. That would be amazing. The closest we can have is when they go outside and they show us the real fans out there that would love to be in that building, but they can't afford $800 tickets. Absolutely insane. And I don't blame the Leaf fans for being so quiet. I was quiet. Well, I think I was quiet. I don't know. I was drinking a lot that night when I spent $400 to watch the Leafs get pumped 5-0 by the Islanders. But yeah, man, I completely understand why they would be upset. I just spent $800 to watch the shittiest fucking performance by this team that just gave me nothing to cheer about. There's nothing to cheer about, so why the hell should we? So at times, I'm with the fans about it, but at other times, it is really frustrating to not have an insane playoff atmosphere when you see all these other amazing playoff atmospheres. I'm very jealous of those other Canadian teams, but goddamn, the Leafs pull off a fucking huge win. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, sort of. I'm not going to say that I was hoping the Leafs were going to win, but it's been very stressful this series, and I was it just felt like it was done. So far, I felt like this has been the worst series I've seen the Leafs play with the Matthews era. It's just been very rough, and just kind of, like I said, it's been watching the same thing go down over and over again. It's just when are you going to make an adjustment, for God's sakes? And maybe they done it by putting in Wall. It looks like it's his net now. He played great, and we'll see where it goes. We'll see if Matthews comes back. We'll see if the big guys can get it going, and we'll see if maybe the Maple Leafs can get inside the Boston Bruins' head and start to make them nervous, and see if the same thing that the Florida Panthers did to them last year may happen again. Now, I will say flat out that the Leafs are nothing like the Florida Panthers, so it's going to be a very difficult task to take down the Bruins 3 games in a row. Good luck. I'm hoping for the best for them, but we'll move on now from that series. I will not be spending that much time on all the other series because I just haven't been able to watch all the games, but I've been doing a pretty good job with the NHL 30 game in 30. It's pretty good. I wish they would get those up faster. Oh my God, one night they didn't get them up till 4 a.m. I was like, Jesus, but what are you doing? So we get to the Vancouver-Nashville series. Very, again, electric series in terms of the fan base. Nashville and Vancouver fans have been absolutely insane. The series itself, a little bit slow. Admittedly, not a lot of shots and not a lot of high danger chances. A very defensive and goaltending minded series, which is fine. People like that. It's just not always my cup of tea. But from what I've watched, it's just been a marvel at the crowd. Like, I watched the last, I don't know, 9 minutes of the game last night in the third period, and the crowd was fucking crazy, absolutely crazy. And I watched the highlights when they scored that goal. Oh my God, Zadorov with that. Oh, he caught Saros cheating. That was some good shit. But game 4. So the really fun thing with this Vancouver series is that they've had 3 different goalies enter this series, and all 3 of those goalies have picked up wins, which is pretty freaking impressive. I imagine that's rather a record or some shit. Insane. So Demko goes in, he gets a win, he goes down, and we don't know if he's coming back next series, maybe, hopefully. And then DeSmith goes in, he's excellent, then he goes down. You're like, God damn, like Vancouver can't catch a break. Then Seelovs goes in, he's excellent. So Vancouver's got the goaltending depth in this series. That's been excellent. But oh my God, that game 4 was so fucking crazy. That Brock freaking Besser, man. What a game. The hat trick. He freaking single-handedly gets Vancouver into that game. I mean, that last second hat trick goal, 6 seconds left, that puck went in. Absolutely insane. And the most insane thing was the empty net miss that Nashville had right before that. Like, oh my goodness, that is going to haunt that man's dreams. Whoever missed that, that sucks, dude. And it was close, hit the posts, and bam, it bounces out, and in the back of the net, what is it? Lindholm, I think, puts it away in overtime, and oh my God, that's got to sting for Nashville, but they came back and they won last night, man. So with a fairly late goal themselves in the third period and another tight game, 2-1 win for Nashville. So this series is still alive. It's 3-2 right now. So the next game's going to be absolutely must win without a doubt for Vancouver. I don't think they want to go to game 7. I don't think that's going to fall in favor for Vancouver, and they really got to get like Pettersson waking up and stuff like that. Thankfully, Brock Besser, JT Miller, Quinn Hughes been pretty fucking good too. Getting some depth heroes out of Zadorov and stuff like that. That's what you need out of to get a win. You can't just have only your stars. That's why the Leafs formula rarely ever works, because they rely so heavily on that 4, and that's generally not how it goes down. Like 2-3 guys don't win you a Stanley Cup. They may get you through a series, but we're rarely even seeing that with the Leafs. So not a strategy that I would go through, but holy fuck, that ending with the empty netter, that was absolutely insane. What a crazy series that's been. And then we move to I told it's going to be way shorter than the Leaf stuff. I had a lot. That was that was therapeutic for me right there. That felt good. So we get to Tampa and Florida. So the Battle of Florida is over, and it was a pretty decent series. Now, the most insane thing by far was, game 4, Sergachev freaking returns from a broken leg in 8 weeks, I think it was. Insane. He gets a primary assist, and I feel like that motivated Tampa because they came flying out of the gates in that game. They were insane. I think they got 3 goals in that first period, but Florida started to crawl back in. You started to see it, and I was like, ooh, shit, can they hold on? And they did hold on, but they do hold on to avoid the sweep, but they do get eliminated in the next game. And Florida, it looks like it's their time now, baby. It looks like they're the dominant team in the Sunshine State, and that's fine with me, man. I mean, I don't think Tampa fans are going to be, all that upset about it. You had 2 Stanley Cups. You had almost 3, maybe even almost 4. I mean, who knows, but a hell of a run. It's not that it's over yet. Like, they could still be in the playoffs for a few more years, but yeah, it looks like the Stanley Cup window is pretty closed now for the Tampa Bay Lightning. But what an outstanding series for Stamkos. Wow, that guy was shooting the lights out in that series. Every goal that he scored was just a lightning bolt through the top corner. I was like, wow, this dude, he's really making a statement for himself, and he's going to make a very tough decision for the Tampa Bay Lightning going into the offseason. They have to re-sign this guy, their captain, their first overall franchise draft pick in 2008, like way back then. This guy's won 2 Stanley Cups, been to finals, had heartbreaking losses, numerous injuries, battled back, and fuck, what is that going to look like? That is going to be a tough conversation. A lot of people are convinced that he's just going to go to the Panthers, or it seems like it's one side or the other. He's going to the Panthers, or he's going to stick it out with Tampa. And at this point, I don't know. I guess it kind of comes down to how Stamkos feels he's, treated in the organization. I mean, yeah, he has a point. I feel like, yeah, he was disrespected by the organization this year. Everything that he's done, but you got to start looking at it from, you look at what Vegas has done, cutthroat organization. You have to make those hard decisions sometimes. Like, is it really great for your organization to hand over a bunch of money and maybe, I don't know what the contract's going to look like? Is it going to be like a Chris Letang type situation where it's just like an outrageous amount of years but lower cap hit, and it's just like, do you want that for your organization, or do you want your guys' playoff window, like when it's closed, do you want it to be closed for a long time, or do you want we can reopen that window faster if we maybe move off of Stamkos now and get something for him and save that money? Maybe we can do something with that. But again, I'm not the GM of Tampa. I wouldn't want to be in that boat, that's for sure. Like, that's a tough conversation, man. Like, he's had fantastic offensive performances, Stamkos, in the last few years, some of his best statistical years, but you look at that defensive liabilities, and I don't know, man. That's a really tough one. I have no idea what the future is going to hold for Stamkos and the Tampa Bay Lightning, but I know people love guys to stick around with organizations for the whole thing because it looks cool on the stat sheet, but I want Stamkos to do what he wants to do. If he wants to compete for Stanley Cups and he thinks that Tampa isn't going to do it, then he should move on. If he wants money and Tampa's willing to give it to him and he's fine sticking it out, then stick it out. That's okay too, but do what he wants to do. But I think he had an outstanding series. Hedman, what a freaking monster that guy is. I love Hedman. He's just so freaking good, and that goal that he scored, that just bomb of a shot, top cheese, that's the homie right there, Victor Hedman. So freaking good. He is the Tampa Bay Lightning's heartbeat, in my opinion. He's the most important player to that team. Kucherov kind of quiet throughout that series. I really didn't notice him all that much. He seemed very frustrated, which, the frustration gets the better of fucking Kucherov when things aren't going his way. So yeah, it's unfortunate that the series didn't get to go on a little bit longer. What did I have them? I have I had it Florida in 6. So I was hoping for maybe one more game, but yes, I had Florida moving ahead in that series. But pretty fun, pretty good battle of Florida. I don't think it was as heated and hated as other series, but still pretty damn good. We move now to Carolina and the New York Islanders. That series is now over. And Freddie Anderson, baby. Oh my God. Some of the saves that he was making. I think it was in Game 3. He was making some of those insane saves, but my God, I'm so happy for Anderson. I loved that guy when he was a Leaf. I defended him all the time. Like, people saying that, he's terrible and he chokes, but I always defended him, that he was always overplayed and playing injured, and he was one of the best goalies that they had. I say he was the best goalie that they had since Belfour, and he was a great goaltender. I really wish we could have kept Anderson, and look at him go now, thriving in Carolina, not getting overplayed, and look at what a rested, healthy Anderson can do in the playoffs. He always had it in him. He's just bad luck, overplayed, always hurt at the wrong time. But a decent series here. I didn't get to see a whole lot of it. Now, they put Sorokin in for Game 3, hoping that he can come to life and maybe steal a game or two for the Islanders, but in classic Islanders fashion, they blow a third period lead and they blow that game. So Sorokin didn't get it done. They go back to Varlamov, and Barzal gets the OT winner there, avoiding the sweep, but then Carolina comes back the next game and just finishes the job. So I was pretty convinced that, I actually got this one. No, I didn't. Okay, my bad. Carolina Islanders, I had Carolina in 6. They take it in 5, so it just Carolina's a damn fine team, man, and Islanders just didn't have the goaltending. Like, they just didn't look like the Islanders this year, and I don't have too much to say about that series because I wasn't all that interested in it, admittedly, but really happy for Freddie Anderson, and Aho has been having a really good series. Who else has been I'm trying to think of that name. Who else has been doing really good out there? It doesn't matter. Oh, well, we'll move on from Carolina, but good for Carolina. I mean, I wasn't too worried about them versus the Islanders. I mean, Carolina's a good defensive team. They got the depth scoring now, so looking good. And then we get to Colorado, Winnipeg. Oh, my goodness. So the Avalanche, they take this series. I was very wrong about this one. I really am... of that, I want a Canadian team to win a cup. And I am a fan of the Winnipeg Jets, especially after what they pulled off this year. Very impressed. I mean, they looked down and out this offseason. They really turned it around. But, yeah, I really didn't expect... I'm not going to say Hellebuck was the reason why they lost this, but I didn't expect Hellebuck to, not really be a factor in this one at all. Colorado scored 5+ goals in every single game that they played, and they were just they look very dangerous right now. The Colorado Avalanche do. Nichushkin, wow, a hat trick in that game there. What game was that? I have it written down here. That was in game 4, but Nichushkin, oh my goodness. He almost looks like he's the best player on the Colorado Avalanche right now, which is like scary considering how many other weapons they have. But Makar is really coming alive. Like that guy, that Bobby Orr-esque goal that he scored. Holy fucking shit, dude. This is why I want to watch more Colorado, because that guy I'm not going to say that he's better than Bobby Orr, but like my dad, like he's not the biggest hockey guy, but he was, he loved Bobby Orr and he liked Gretzky. He knew of the great ones. And he's like, there's never been a player that was like Bobby Orr. And of course, way before my time, shortened career, I cannot attest to what that guy did, but Makar, what he's doing as a defenseman right now is fucking insane. Like, really, really crazy stuff. He is turning it on. And then Rantanen, he was pretty slow at the start of the series, and then he gets 2 goals in the final game that takes out the Winnipeg Jets, who are sadly eliminated. I got that one super wrong. I had Winnipeg winning that one in 7. I wanted it to be an exciting series, and I thought maybe Colorado, they looked like maybe a little bit of a slow start, and then the goaltending looked like it could be a real issue. The Forgiev fucking memes and all that stuff was coming out, but Gorgiev turned it around, man. Like, he really settled down, maybe just a little bit of nerves at the beginning, a lot of pressure for him, man. Like, he bet on himself. Like, he was like, I want to be a starting goaltender, and then he got the job, and here you are, kiddo, and now we're in the playoffs, and here he comes. Like, you seen what Kemper did for the Avalanche. Like, he's like, as long as I can be average to decent, this team can win. And yeah, at the beginning it looked like good, but he really fucking got it together, man. And the Jets, a valiant effort, but when you're getting 5 goals scored against you every game, what can you do, man? And it's not that Hellebuck was bad. Like, you look at the goals that were going in on him, like, completely fucking screened. You got Makar and McKinnon and Nichushkin and Rantanen barreling down on you. Middlestat's been great. Their depth has been scoring. Like, was it Miles Wood and like all those oh my god, man. And Taves getting in on the action. Like, that's a deadly team. We see why they won a Stanley Cup, and they're rolling right now. They look fucking unstoppable. So, whoever has to deal with them next, I'm no good at the. I have no idea how that shit works, but good luck to the next team that has to deal with the Colorado Avalanche. All you can hope is that this break that they're going to have cools them off. That's all you can hope for. Maybe Nichushkin goes to a bar and punches out someone and then disappears again. That's really all you can hope for by the looks of it right now with Colorado. They are humming on all cylinders, but very unfortunate for the Winnipeg Jets. Like, my heart goes out for that fan base. They were amazing. Like, what a crowd. Some people blaming the whiteout as being like an eye distraction, maybe making it hard for Hellebuck to track the puck. I have no fucking idea. I mean, admittedly, yeah, it's a little bit hard to watch kind of because it's very, very white. I mean, the ice is white and then the crowd is white. So it's a very white screen. So, be careful with that. But, to blame fans, to do that, like, I'm not saying that Winnipeg blamed anybody, but it's just they didn't have the defense. Like, their defense wasn't good enough. They scored some goals, but they weren't getting as many as Colorado. So just really kind of got outmatched was Winnipeg, but a learning experience hopefully for some of their guys. I thought Morrissey was pretty fucking good. Pionk, accidentally scoring on his own net. That fucking sucks, man. Like, you don't wish that kind of shit on anybody. And, Pionk, I feel like already gets it pretty rough from people, so really fucking sucks for him. But an unfortunate series for sure for Winnipeg. But when you look at what Colorado just did and what they could potentially do, like, this team looks like probably the most dangerous right now. So if they go on and win a cup, you can look back and Winnipeg just being one of the victims of a team that is on fuego right now. Now we move to one of the more interesting fun series right here. We got Dallas and Vegas. So this series is the battle of the road. So you got Vegas taking the 2 games on the road, and then Dallas taking the 2 games in Vegas. Very interesting indeed. Now, we have a little bit of a goaltending situation emerging here in Vegas. So the game coming up tonight, they're going with Aiden Hill, the goaltender that won them the Stanley Cup. Up until now, they've gone with Logan Thompson, who has been fine, but when you have the goaltender who won you the cup sitting there, why not go to him? So I'm fine with that decision. On the Dallas side, they got the Ott man in the net, and he hasn't, we're not getting the stop scratching that chair, my animal. Goddamn cats, I tell you, they're always scratching stuff looking for love. But Ottinger not looking like the Ottinger from a few years ago, and I think people should let that go. Like, that's not what should be expected out of Jake Ottinger every single playoff run, but 907 save percentage right now. He's been getting better. And the Stars' offense, not very great. So Heiskanen is leading them in points right now, defenseman, but he is a -6. So, and that's their main defenseman right there. That guy's playing 28 plus minutes a night, and he had a pretty good game there the other night, and he's staying out of the box pretty well, but Heiskanen's got to start getting more involved in moving up into the offense, which he is damn good at. He didn't have to do it that much, like his points were a bit down this year, but he's really good at jumping up into the rush and helping out that offense, which I think Dallas can use a little bit of help at. So Jason Robertson, overall down year for him point-wise. He's got 4 points in 4 games, which isn't bad, but you want a little bit more out of Jason Robertson in the playoffs. Only the 2 goals. And then Wyatt Johnson has been awesome for them. He's got 3 goals. I know like they both have 4 points, but Wyatt Johnson playing a depth lower down in the roster, and he's providing them with some big goals at big times. And then you want some more out of the veterans like Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. They got 2 points each. I mean, and you really got to get Rupe Heinz going, man. Like, Rupe Heinz only has the 1 goal in 4 games, and that guy's generally been their playoff, like, game breaker. The guy was unbelievable in their deep run to the Stanley Cup Finals. He had, like, over 20 points. He was absolutely phenomenal. Same with the Robertson. So, yeah, they got to get that line going. Joe Volkop, Joe Pavelski doesn't have anything. Tom Harley doesn't have anything. He's a defenseman, but still, he had 15 goals. Duchesne's only got 1 apple. Like, Stankoven's only got an apple. So, yeah, they got to get the offense rolling here for Dallas. But we'll take a look at the Vegas Golden Knights side. So Jack Eichel has been playing very good, looking very dominant out there as Jack Eichel. He's got 6 points in 4 games, 3 goals, 3 assists. So Jack Eichel's getting it done. Last year's Conn Smythe winner, he's got 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points. So some of the bigger guys are getting it done. And then you got a really good performance so far from Braden McNabb. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists himself. So that's a hell of a performance right there from a defenseman who doesn't normally put up a whole bunch of points. Ivan Barbashev's been pretty decent. Noah Hanifin, he's got points, but he's a -4. And Thomas Hertel, he's got 1 goal and a -4. So, I mean, the new addition, Thomas Hertl, he got a big goal there, but you're going to want more out of him right there for sure. And Noah Hanifin, you want to tighten that shit up a little bit defensively. And then that's pretty much it when it comes to points. Like, Mark Stone, yeah, I know he got that the first goal that pissed everybody off, but he's been quiet ever since. Nothing after that. He's a -3. Chandler Stevenson's a -4. So they're going to have to start getting some of the bigger names going here. Like Petrangelo's got no points in this series. He missed a wide open... Wait, no, that was Ryan McDonough. My bad. But yeah, nothing out of Petrangelo, nothing out of Mantha so far. William Carrier, like... You're looking for some of these names here. You know, Shea Theodore's got nothing on the board. William Karlsson has nothing on the board yet. So, yeah, their offense is starting to slow down as Dallas is starting to ramp up. But a very interesting series here. So it's going to... This game tonight is a big one. Game 5 with the series tied. This is the one to take the momentum, and we'll see if someone can take advantage of their home ice. We'll see if Vegas is able... Is it... No, it's back in Dallas. Wait. Yeah, back in Dallas. And Dallas has the momentum now coming off of the 2 big wins that they had to win those games too. And beating Vegas on the road, oh man, in the playoffs, that's huge. So that's going to be some big momentum. So I would imagine Dallas is going to come in hot. If they can make it through, they might pull off the big win tonight. And you get the only one more win after that. So that is some cool shit right there. It's been a fun series. I've been enjoying that one. Let's move now to the other series that is now done, the New York Rangers and the Washington Capitals, the only sweep of the first round. Which, I mean, a lot of people aren't all that surprised as the Washington Capitals coming in with the worst goal differential for a playoff team in history, so not a lot of expectations put on the Washington Capitals, which, could have put some pressure on the Rangers, who have expectations to absolutely truck the Washington Capitals, which, I mean, they did beat them in a sweep, but it wasn't necessarily dominating. I mean, Washington almost got 1 win, but the big story is that Ovechkin had absolutely nothing to say in this series. No points, a -2, and only 5 shots in 4 games. So he was completely just a non-factor in the series, but he's not the only one. Like, there's a few guys here that didn't have anything on the board. I mean, but not everybody got into every game. Like Sandin ended up getting hurt only into 1 game. So, yeah, I mean, there's not much to say because we kind of all saw this coming, but, hoping for a little bit more of a fight. Like Tom Wilson, well, he did get in a fight. He very much so wanted to fight, and he got that fight. But Rempe opening up the scoring in this series, that was a lot of fun, but yeah, not a lot of great thing. I mean, like, Wilson had 3 points in 4 games. Faravari had 3 points for defenseman. That's pretty good. John Carlson, 2 points. Like, yeah, it's the big guys that weren't there. Now, TJ Oshie was dealing with injury, and the rest of his career is questionable. We'll see what happens in the offseason if he's able to recover and get back to it. But that could have been TJ Oshie's last game. And he kind of looked like he was accepting that because he spent, I think he was the last one off the ice, and he spent a lot of time out there. So could be the end of TJ Oshie's career, but a fantastic career, Stanley Cup champion. Really enjoyed his run with the Capitals. I thought he was a great Capital. Just injuries get the better of you. Max Pacioretty only 1 assist in that series. So Connor McMichael had 1 goal. So yeah, there's not a lot of offense with the Capitals. And then Charlie Lindgren, he wasn't able to get it done. .864 save percentage. You can't really hang that on him. Like, you look at the potent offense of the Rangers, and their power play was humming. I mean, they have to be careful because their 5-on-5 could get them in trouble further into the playoffs. But if they can keep the power play just unstoppable, I mean, there's power plays that just won't get shut down, and maybe the Rangers have that here. But yeah, they take out the Capitals in fairly short order. Not too worried about that, so they'll get themselves a little rest right here. And we'll see who's next for the Washington Capitals. And we finish it off with the Los Angeles Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Zach Hyman continues to be the freaking man. Connor McDavid is leading the playoffs in points. Los Angeles avoiding a sweep. They get the huge overtime winner, so they're not going down without a fight. But then game 4, really didn't expect this kind of game out of Edmonton or even in the series, but a 1-0 win for the Edmonton Oilers and a fucking 33-save shutout for Stuart Skinner. So that is a massive, massive win for Edmonton right there. They're going to need, that could just really, make teams worry. It's like, oh shit, even if we do shut them down, the Oilers are capable of shutting teams down too. So that was a huge game right there. Los Angeles penalty kill has not had an answer for the Edmonton Oilers power play, and that is just one of the scariest freaking power plays, man. On the right side, you got Draisaitl waiting, you got McDavid on the other side, and then at the point, you got Bouchard with the bomb. It is just a very potent power play, and it's tough to stop. I got to take a look at the stats for Los Angeles. I don't know if Big Save Dave got into a game there, but Talbot hasn't been bad in net. I feel like I think he was in that game with this freaking shit with load. All right, we'll get to the stats. So yeah, Big Save Dave did get into there. I think he was in that game, but he only had to make 13 saves, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Cam Talbot, okay, never mind. He's not playing so good anymore. He's down to the .861 save percentage. So, yeah, shows how much I know. But Quentin Byfield, he's getting a lot of praise in this series. People are starting to say, he looks like he is getting ready to take over for Anze Kopitar. So there's potential that Byfield could go back to center at some point, maybe next year. He starts playing center full-time again. He was drafted as a center, but this year played on the wing because you look at the depth of center in Los Angeles, pretty damn good. They got Kopitar, they got Pierre-Luc Dubois, and they got Deneau. So not bad in terms of that. So you wouldn't want Byfield on the fourth line. But he's got 4 assists, 4 points in 4 games. Kempe's got 3 goals. Pretty good. Drew Doughty's been pretty good, doing the Drew Doughty thing. Dubois has not emerged as a very big playoff situation. He does have 18 penalty minutes and 1 goal, but only 1 goal. So you're going to want a lot more out of him. And geez, that contract continues to look worse and worse every single day. Mikey Anderson's been playing pretty good, and of course you're getting a good performance, as always, out of Anze Kopitar, but right now it's the defense and the penalty kill and trying to stop that potent, disgusting offense of the Oilers, and even when they did hold them down to 1 goal, they got shut out. So even their own offense is getting stifled out there. Oh boy, so it's not looking very good for Los Angeles right now. They're in a hole, and it's Edmonton. So I don't think we'll be talking about Los Angeles much more, but that's all the series right now. So let me know what series you have been enjoying the most. For me, I really did I did like Colorado, Winnipeg. Though it was frustrating to watch the Jets lose, it was a great atmosphere, great action, crazy good goals, and sadly not as great goaltending as you would have wanted, but I did enjoy that one. I'm enjoying Dallas-Vegas. Leafs-Bruins has been immensely frustrating. Let me know if you're not a Leafs-Bruins fan. How is that series going from someone else's perspective that doesn't have any stakes in this series? But for me, it's been very tame, at least atmosphere-wise, but that's normal for Toronto. So that's the playoff stuff. Let's talk about some other news that has been going around in the NHL. We'll start off with some sad stuff. The legendary play-by-play commentator Bob Cole passes away at 90 years old, and they had a great week of tributes and video packages for him. A particularly great one on Saturday for Bob with Gretzky and Crosby talking about what he meant to them. Bob Cole was before he was my dad's time. He started back in the 60s or the 70s or something. So he was before my time, but I caught the tail end of him, of course. Oh, baby. Of course. I heard a lot of Bob Cole in my day as well, and he was the voice of Gretzky and Crosby's era. So to hear those guys come out and the words that they had to say for Bob Cole, that's amazing. He's going to go down as probably the greatest play-by-play of all time. He was absolutely spectacular. And, I mean, a hell of a run. You can't complain at 90 years old. He did what he loved, and he was loved for what he loved. So that's great. I mean, a great thing for him. So that's a big old thumbs up right there for the nice tribute. But a sad passing indeed. And another sad note, I kind of missed out on this one from the last episode, but they had the final broadcast for the Coyotes, which was really sad and touching. And yeah, you know, like the panel talking about it, like Biz, like he played for that team. He was on that team when they had their biggest success, making it to the Western Conference Finals, I think. So hearing him talk about what the Coyotes meant and other people, of course, seeing like the fans. Oh, that is just so heartbreaking to watch a fan base lose their team. That's heartbreaking. Like watching people crying in the stands with their jerseys on. It's like, it's over. Like, yes, you can still follow your team, and that's still like, you know, it's still your team, but you know in your heart, like, that's not our team no more. They're gone. We fucked up. We lost them. And, you know, we haven't had that since Winnipeg moved out of Atlanta. And, you know, honestly, that happened so fast. I don't even remember that happening. All I remember was being very happy about Winnipeg. I don't remember the sadness of Atlanta fans. Like, I don't remember people talking about that. Obviously, there must have been sadness to lose your team like that. But yeah, that sucks, man. That absolutely sucks. But there is a silver lining with that. So they brought the team over now. They brought them over to Utah. They had a big old meet and greet thing in the arena, and they had like 12,000 fans show up, which was great. I forget who it was on the team. O'Brien, I think it was. Liam O'Brien. He introduced himself to the fans as Spicy Tuna. So, yeah, he pretty much solidified himself as the next captain of the team because everyone loves him now. But a great start for Utah. I mean, it must feel really good for the guys in the organization, on the team. All that, you know, now we have a home. We've been welcomed. They got a huge, great reception. That must feel great. So I'm really happy for the team and very excited to see what they're going to do, man. They inherited a pretty all right team, man. Like, I think this team underperformed like pretty drastically with all the shit going around the Arizona Coyotes. I think this team is going to surprise people next year and is really going to depend on what they do with all those assets. Because now you got to think that this Utah team kind of have a little bit of a different mindset than what the Coyotes did. The Coyotes, I feel like they were just like, can we just break even for God's sakes and get some people in this building? So I feel like with the 78 draft picks that they inherited from Arizona, they're going to move some of those, and they're going to bring in some guys because they also have a shitload of cap space. But they also have a shitload of people to sign. Like, they have, like, no one signed on defense, and I feel like Clayton Keller's the only guy locked in, but we'll see where it goes. It's going to be very interesting tracking that team through the offseason, what they're going to do, what they're going to name themselves, and all that great shit. But a great introduction for Utah, and that's a good start for sure. But now we get to some endings. We have some retirements to announce right here. We have Columbus Blue Jacket, kind of forgot he was there again, but Jacob Voracek has retired, and, well, he hasn't played since 2022, but he is the third most. He has the third most points all time for a Czechia-born player, only behind Patrick Elias and Jaromir Jagr. So, I mean, pretty good names to be in there with, and, man, Voracek, I really liked him, man. He was such a Philadelphia Flyer with the wacky red hair and the big red beard. Like, oh, he fit in there so good. He had some really good seasons over there. Very good passer. And yeah, kind of sucks that the career ends this way with just kind of, not going to say a whimper, but just kind of just going out. Just, I'm out of here. Like, I'm good. I had a great career, and good for you, Jacob Voracek. We'll see what the future holds for him. You know, he made a good amount of money, so he can just chill the fuck out if he wanted to. Who else retired? Someone else retired. Who retired? Looking for the name. I don't see it. All right. We'll just move the fuck on to firings then. Who got fired? San Jose Sharks head coach David Quinn is no longer the head coach of the San Jose Sharks. And I mean, what can you do? I mean, why would they even bother firing him? Like, your team was designed to be terrible. He did it. He coached a terrible team to be terrible. I mean, like, you're gonna fire a guy for that? So I don't know. They haven't named a replacement yet. what are you gonna do? That's not a job anyone should fucking want. I wouldn't want to be, even if they called me up right now. A guy, well, I would take it. I'm not gonna lie, I would take it, even though I would get fired in probably a year. Probably not even. I would just, maybe I wouldn't take it. I don't know, but that's not a job I don't think anyone's lining up for necessarily. Hopefully, what I would like is for them rather. I don't know, because like the right move is to get a veteran coach in there more than likely that can, or someone that's good with kids. I would really like to see a new coach, a new guy get an opportunity. That's always what I like. I don't like seeing recycled old guys getting brought back in, especially if they're just like, the Babcock one always comes out as like the most what the fuck thing ever. But yeah, you don't want, like, I don't even know about David, what is it, Quinn or whatever the fuck? And that's the guy that got fired. Quenneville or whatever. Like, he wouldn't want this job. Why the fuck would he want that? But anyway, he's sadly gone. And Seattle, they fired head coach Dave Haxtell, and no replacement name for him either. So got a couple of guys going down there in the head coach realm. It's kind of the season for that. And, Dave Haxtell, he was, I don't know, kind of a hot and cold. Like, people really fucking hated him the first year. They're like, what is this guy? This guy's fucking terrible. And then they get to the playoffs the next year, and they're like, oh, this guy's not so bad. And now he's fired. So there you go. I don't know if he's going to get another head coaching job. Maybe he can go to San Jose, because as far as I know, he's more of a defensive-minded coach. He likes that kind of style, so maybe that would help out San Jose. Because if you're a tanking team, I think best case Ontario you can hope for is that Leaf tanking year where you were the best tanking team of all time. And it was like, they had just like a lot of tough players and guys not fun to play against. They'll wear you down. It's like, oh, we're going to play Toronto tonight. It's like, yeah, we'll win, but it's like, it's going to suck to win a little bit there though. But anyway, we'll see what goes on. If anyone else gets fired, I will let you guys know, but that's all I got for today. I think we got Dallas and Vegas tonight. That's going to be a massive game. You know what? I'll just pull up the fucking schedule and we'll find out. Oh, we have the Kings and the Oilers tonight too. So Kings could get eliminated, probably will get eliminated, I would think. Oilers just, they match up really good against LA. Like, I feel really bad for LA because, they just keep pulling their boogeyman every single year. And I think LA would have had a couple of decent runs under their belt if they just didn't run into the Oilers every single year. But Dems the breaks, man. Dems the breaks. Like, the Leafs, they deal with it too. Like, but even when they get home runs, like when they pull fucking Montreal and they pull Columbus, they still blow it. So playoffs are not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. It's always going to be difficult. But yeah, man, it does kind of suck that you're pulling like two generational players in McDavid, Draisaitl, and yeah, Zachy Hyman's just tearing you to pieces, and Stuart Skinner is locking it down. So really good. Let me know what your favorite series are and who is going to win the games and all that great stuff. Will they pull it off? I mean, I feel at this point it's starting to look like they're going to do the most Leaf thing ever and probably win in Toronto and then blow it in classic Leaf fashion in Boston. But maybe the script gets switched finally for once. I'm already dead inside since the Montreal loss, so it's just all numb to me at this point. I can't even properly celebrate Leaf goals anymore because I'm always terrified they're going to be called back. I have to wait like 3 minutes. Like, it's probably really annoying to watch a hockey game with me because you'll just be watching 3 minutes after, and I'm like, yeah, all right, let's go. That counted. All right, I'm good now. I had my time to wait because I've had my heart ripped out so many times as a Leaf fan. I just can't take it anymore, but we'll see if I make it to next week and get an episode out for you if I don't die of stress. But thank you everybody so much for listening to the podcast. You're fantastic. You want to be even more fantastic, make sure you're liking and rating and telling everybody about the podcast, all that generic stuff that we all have to say and all that stuff, but it is what it is. So there's a Twitter page you can follow where I put up announcements for what I want to do. This week, oh boy, I'm really struggling with what I want to do for the GamerCast. Trying to pull together this versus. It might be a tag team versus. I don't know. I'm working with a concept here. So just keep your eyes open and there'll be some sort of episode out for the GamerCast. Could be a versus. I'm just going to leave it at that. It probably will be. It's going to be a versus. And we'll see how that one goes. I'm kind of just running by the skin of my teeth right here with that episode. So it could be a disaster. Could be a lot of fun. So the only way you're going to know is watch it. Listen to it. Or you can watch it. You want to know how you can watch it? YouTube. I upload all these onto the YouTube channel Gamer GX Videos, so you can go over there. Links are all in the description. Follow along over there on YouTube, subscribe, like, and all that great stuff. Great place to drop a comment. You want to have a question read out and answered on the podcast live, I would love to do that. Shout your name out. Send in a question on Twitter. Comment box on YouTube. There's an email address there as well. If you want to have a private conversation, just send in an email or just say, hey, don't shout my name out. I don't want that. Just answer my question, idiot. So that's okay. Just, be polite, and that's okay. So thank you, everybody, so much for listening. WrestleCast will be normal WrestleCast. I think Backlash might be this week. I should probably check in on that. And if it is, it's early because it's in France. So that's going to fuck up all the times. Anyway, just stick around and we'll be back again with some more GX Plus Cast. I need a coffee.